Hi guys, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. This is a brand new little series that we're going to do here on the channel. Just taking a look at some of the armor sets that you can get in Conan Exiles, and this is episode 1. This one will look at some of the basic armor sets that you can get early on in game that you can craft really easily, sort of as you're leveling up, that give you mainly carrying capacity but also a little bit of armor. And then we'll also take a look at a couple of what I'm calling early to mid game sets that you can get. One is a light armor set and one is a heavy. Both strength bonuses. May have an agility one eventually, but this is just a couple of sets that I find early on that I think will be helpful to people when they start the game. So let's dive into it right now. Okay, so as you first start the game, I'm sure you're aware by now, you spawn in on the desert, you work your way up, get yourself down to the river, and you craft your coarse clothing that you wear as you're running in, literally like rags almost as they are. Farm a few materials, you manage to build yourself a little hut or a little base, you get your first few stations, your first few levels, and you get yourself your armourer's bench. And then you find on this armourer's bench that you can craft different types of armour sets. One of the ones you can make is this one here, which is the light armour set. It's a 5-piece set as we see, and on the right there it gives us plus 15 to carry capacity in each piece. Doesn't give us a whole lot of armour, it's only like 290, which isn't a lot, but that's better. 290 on the durability, sorry, but then we only get like 11 per piece on the armour. So it's very basic armour, but it's better than your coarse clothing. You can make a perfected version of this when you get higher up in the game if you like, but you probably typically won't because it's only used for carrying. Same with the medium, that's another armour set again, which is carry capacity, but this will also give us ever so slightly more armour, as you can see there, because it's medium rather than light. And again the heavy, basic heavy, all carrying capacity once again, and again ever so slightly higher armour on the pieces. On that one you can make better versions, but typically you probably, once you reach higher levels, certainly level 60, wouldn't really use any of these unless you want to use the heavy, or any of them I suppose really, for just if you're out and about farming and want some extra carrying capacity. Although there are other armour pieces out there that will give you better armour and higher carrying capacity than these, but they are the basic ones. And to make that you would need your, like I say, basic armourer's bench, and to make the light padding you're going to need twine and hide, so that makes you your light padding. And then you can make, if you wanted to, either of those in the light or the medium. And then obviously the heavy will need thick leather. And one way early game that you can get thick leather, there's a little location just down the river that I'll show you in a minute. There's a little camp where there was usually a fighter or an archer that spawns, and an armourer spawn. I think it's Angar, another great YouTuber, doing a guide series and also a live stream every week at the minute, where he goes to this particular camp to get an armourer. Any level I believe will do, but if you can get an armourer 3, pop them on your tanner's table, and as you'll see there, we get an option at the top, that first option for stitch, which what that means is if you put, as you can see, hide and twine in this bench with an armourer, they will stitch two normal hide together and make thick hide that you will need to make your higher level armour. Plus you could also then get thick leather from that, so it's a really easy, quick and sort of pain-free way to get thick hide early on in game if you're not anywhere higher up in the map near rhinos or anything like that. And again, you can still do it on your improved bench, we'll come back to that in a second. But the two that I want to take a look at is this one here, which is the Defari set. So you can see the headpiece, the top, I suppose you want to call it a skirt, but the wrap, the gloves, and then the feet, and then the Hyperborean slave set. This takes maybe a little bit more work to do, because you do need fur with this one. and you will need iron bars as well. And if you're making the epic version, again you'll need fur, but you'll also need hardened steel bars rather than iron, because it's the next grade up. The boots are certainly very helpful in the perfected version later in game, which you'll also see in my ultimate thrall guide. Great for a player as well if you've got a decent pair of strength boosting boots. Even though they're not legendary, they are still sort of legendary tier, they're very good. Fur that you will need, if I load up my map a second, one good easy place at sort of early to mid game you can go is get yourself up here. If you can get over into the jungle, sort of all this area here, sort of all up around here, this top area rather, like around here, look out for the gorillas and the apes, all those type of things, kill them, skin them with a skinning knife, you'll get obviously hides, but you'll also get fur, which you need for this armour, the Hyperborean, plus there may be others that you'll need it for later in game as well, so grab yourself as much as you can while you're there. That's the Hyperborean Slave, that is called, as I say. That is a heavy armour set, and this is the Defari, which is a light armour set which is strength boosting. All the sets again are all strength related, same as this one, only difference is this is heavy armour and that's on a light, so if you want a nice light armour that will also help you cope with the heat in the desert, then the Defari is a nice one to go for. Or if you want something a little bit more survivable even in the basic version, then the Hyperborean Slave is a good one to go for. So to craft those, what you want to do, as I say, you'll need a light padding that you make from your twine and hide, and to make the Defari sets you're going to need 5 light padding if you're going to do all 5 pieces, plenty of leather, plenty of bones and some fangs, because that is what it takes to make the basic version of it. If you want to do the improved version or the epic version, obviously it's going to cost you different resources, but in this episode we're just looking at the very basics because we're starting at the very beginning. And the same with the Hyperborean, you can see there, that's an example of the epic version. So the image on that, especially for the chest, looks slightly different, as you can tell to that one there. It looks the same on the mannequin, but the image that you can see there looks different. That's because that's the basic version, and then that is the epic version. And as I said, once again, this time it's heavy padding, which you'll need your thick hide for, iron bars if you're doing the basic version for the legs, I think it is, or the skirt piece, hardened steel if you're doing the epic version, and plenty of fur, because it does actually, although it may not look it, it does actually involve fur, that set, so you will need that to craft those. So that, as I say, they are both craftable as well. There's no recipe you need to learn. The only way you'll learn those is if you come to your knowledge, or your feats, whatever you want to call them, scroll along to armour, learn these top ones, and the one you want for the Defari, if I can remember correctly, is that one. You can see there, if you've got the points you can unlock that. That teaches you that. It also teaches you the Kamjan or Kambushan, however you pronounce it, Shaman armour, which is a medium armour, pretty nice as well. We'll talk about that in a different video, but that's that one. And then if you want the Hyperborean Slave, as you can see, that's there also with that one. That actually comes under the same ones. You've got the Slayer, the Kambushan Shaman and the Defari, and then once you get to your higher level and you can unlock your epic versions, you'll see them in here once again. That's the Hyperborean Slave, but it's the better version, and obviously the Kambushan Shaman and the Defari there. So that's how you learn those. Nice and simple to start this off, no recipes to find, so it's a great little starter. What I'll do now is I'll nip up the river and show you this little camp where you can get an armourer from, pretty easy in game, pretty much guaranteed. And then we'll have another quick look where you can get some fur from for this video. Alright, I'll catch you in a second. Right, so here we are. I thought we'd come to the jungle first, just since the road this way is a little bit easier. We are just about, focus on the map, you can see where we are just there on the right in the green area. Come up here, you'll see there's a gorilla or an ape, whatever you want to call, there's one there. Obviously these guys would normally aggro, there's two actually, so there's one there, sometimes there's one. Carry on up here, there's another one there, another one there. And if you're playing on one of these boosted servers, you'll get a heck of a lot further and a lot of hide, a lot quicker. Sometimes you can see one down there I think, but typically there isn't at the minute. But if we run up here, go up through this area and down here, again you'll spot them kind of all dotted around. There's another one there, another one further down, possibly one around that corner as well, so there are plenty of them to find. You just need to look in this area for them and you'll get plenty of fur. Right, that's the fur. Let's have a look where this armourer is. Alright, so here we are back down on Noob River, as a lot of people like to call it, or back down on the river if you want to just call it the river. And I'm at this little corner here, and we're just going to work our way along here up towards this camp because it's just down this way. But this little corner I'm at the minute, again I want to make a reference to Angar once again. He calls this corner Chaos Corner. More necessarily with the aggro and LSO with me being cloaked, but this is pretty much why this is called Chaos Corner. They are dead at the moment, but there are crocodiles there, two crocodiles there. They're usually alive. There's a camp that has a couple of thralls on it usually. Look at all these here. There's one here, another one there. You imagine that these guys all start and they all come at you, 4 or 5 crocodiles. If you're low level with weak gear, yeah, you can have a problem. Yeah, so we carry on along here. And yeah, shout out to Angar for this one. I actually used this on a server that I play on myself. Just the other day actually, at the time of this video. Since he mentioned it. Whoops, that kind of threw us a bit quick. Yeah, you probably want to take these guys out first because he might be friendly. There is one, usually I think, that's there that will aggro sometimes, like a corrupted shellback. But as you see, 5 to there, so if you take them out, come along here, and then there should normally be somebody sat here. And if they're here, for some reason they're not here this time, but usually they are, they'll be sat here, and there'll be an armourer, either a 1, 2 or a 3. If you got a 3, then that's great, ideal. Try and get the armourer 3 if you can. Take them back to your base, put them on your tanner's table, and you'll be able to make yourself your thick hide. Well, alright then guys, that will just about cover it for this one. Nice, quick and easy one just to start this series off with. Like I say, I don't want to go too in depth into anything. Don't want to make things too complicated, especially for a new player or someone considering starting to play the game. I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet, nice and simple. The idea is it's supposed to be an introduction. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the comments section down below. Let me know how I'm doing. Give this video a thumbs up, A, if you found it useful, but also if you found it helpful. If you think it's good, if this is the type of content you guys want to see, let me know so that I can continue making content that I know you guys want to see, rather than making content that I think you'll want to see. And while you're there, if you haven't subscribed yet or not, why haven't you? Don't worry, I'm only kidding. It's only totally free, doesn't cost you anything. Just means you get to see the next video that we upload. We are looking at uploading quite regularly now on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with guides, tips and tricks, and hopefully some future gameplay. So as I say, thank you to those who have watched this video, those who have subscribed, those of you who haven't, do consider doing so. We'd love to have you with us. We're just over 100 subscribers now, which for a small growing channel, that is fantastic. It shows me that the work I'm putting in is actually starting to pay off and it's actually worthwhile because you guys are interested, so thank you once again. And that's it for this episode, so until I see you in episode 2 where we'll continue to look at some different armour, I will say goodbye. So from me, it's bye bye for now.